Thanks to Software Keep for sponsoring a portion of this video. So we've been busting out TV videos fast and furiously, and it's been kind of a selfish endeavor as I sort of tried to decide which TV was right for me as I look to upgrade my set that had been sitting on my wall for the past 6 years. And in doing all of these exercises and TV review videos, I've learned a lot about TVs. It was something that I didn't know that much about. As we get into the holiday season, perhaps you are looking to get a new TV. So I want to sort of make a buyer's guide, sort of walk through all the different acronyms, all the tech, and try to help you guys pick not only which TV, but which TV technology is right for your house. Unlike reviewing phones, TVs get crazy subjective. It is not always the more money you spend, the better set you are going to get. With color calibration, and there's a lot of those online that can walk you through step by step, you can make a lower cost set look as good as a more expensive set. And if you're primarily looking for a TV for gaming, and this is a big deal, make sure to find a set that has at least one 4K HDMI 2.1 port. And also a TV that is capable of 120 Hertz will go a long way if you're planning on hooking up, PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. And the biggest wild card out of all this is where your set's gonna be placed. Is it going to be in a bright room? Is it gonna be in a dark room? And that is going to help determine which tech is right for you. Let's get started. So I do want to jump in and say that for me, after all those TV reviews that I did, I ended up going with OLED. I picked LG's G2. It's WOLED technology, so it's older OLED. It's not QD OLED, but it does get 30% brighter than traditional OLED sets. And for me, that has been awesome. And there's a lot of advantages for OLED. It's been around for a while. They're obviously known for their black levels because diodes are off. You get near unlimited viewing angles. Profile is generally pretty thin, really easy and looks good for wall mounting and sleek design. High contrast, you've got great color reproduction. That's really good for an avid cinema fan. On the flip side, it ain't perfect. Older models have been known to have issues with burn-in, which is less of sort of a thing you have to worry about the newer models to sort of do some tech to mitigate that for you. Also, OLEDs typically, with some sort of modern exceptions, haven't gotten as bright as their LED counterparts. And the biggest downside of OLED is their price typically a lot higher. So here's who I think should get an OLED. This is a big variance of OLED. If you get an OLED set from last year, it will not be as bright, but it'll be less expensive. And if you opt for an OLED set for, say, this year, something like the LG G2, and we'll talk about QD OLED later, it'll be more expensive, but will get brighter. If you're looking for perfect black levels, I think OLED is going to be a great choice. If you're constantly looking for blooming and you're very aware of blooming and you can sort of see that when you look at a bright picture on a dark background, then OLED is going to be a perfect way to go. But if your TV is in a very bright environment, I would look for one of the newer models of OLED sets. If you have more controlled lighting, last year's OLED or even the year before would be perfect. All right, let's talk about QLED. There's a lot of QLED TVs out right now. Essentially, it's an LED TV with a layer of quantum dots, sometimes it's called nanocell tech over it. These additional layers kind of help create a more vibrant color image, as well as a much brighter one. And the TV tech in general is not as thin as OLEDs are, but they're typically no thicker than like a picture frame or like a thinner canvas print. These sets are known for their brightness levels, so if you know your TV is going to be in a brighter room, a lot of direct sunlight coming in, these are really well suited for that. And then unlike the brightness scale, they tend to come in sort of the middle of the pack, which is saying something. While they might not be the brightest options out there, we'll talk about those, they still get very, very bright. So a huge amount of direct sunlight, QLED might be something you want to consider. The modern QLED sets, it's an iterative evolution of the original tech that came out a few years ago. Newer ones, so past year, are a little brighter and a little more vibrant, but also a little more expensive. You also have more affordable options here that have smart TV OSs built in. Amazon TV, Google TV, Roku TV built in as their main UI. They are bright and very vibrant. You can get them for relatively affordable prices. And if you dial in the picture settings, that can go a long way with these sets. You'd be surprised what kind of picture you can get out of these QLED sets. And again, if you don't know how to calibrate a set, you don't have external gadgets to do it, it's okay. Literally just Google the TV model you decide to buy, and there will be a lot of options that'll walk you through step by step how to change your setting to get the best picture. Some of the disadvantages though, black levels obviously aren't anywhere near OLEDs. They're still backlit TVs. And so instead of pictures being black, there'll be some version of gray. And with that, blooming tends to be more noticeable on these sets. And viewing angles tend to not be great unless you're sitting directly in front of the TV, but if you're off to the sides, the picture can definitely get washed out. So QLED, it's a great option if you're more of a casual TV fan and you've got a lot of light in your room. No risk for burning here. You can usually find these at some really good prices. Brands like TCL come to mind. They've got a huge range of TVs in this category at varying prices. Newer QLEDs, Samsung especially, do come in at higher prices. They're brighter, and I think are better versions of the technology. Sometimes don't have gaming features you might find on OLED with 4K 120. Some do, but not all. So definitely check for an HDMI 2.1 port and then the refresh rate. But if you're just streaming using like an Apple TV or something, especially if you're using the Dolby Vision settings, you'll be absolutely fine. Listen, no matter what TV you decide to get, they're expensive. And you're gonna wanna save money wherever you can. One of the best ways to do that is on software. You gotta buy the software anyway, you might as well get it for the most affordable price possible. And that is where SoftwareKeep comes in. And I wanna get this out of the way at the beginning. You are getting 100% certified above board serial numbers for software. There's nothing shady here happening. In fact, they're a Microsoft certified gold partner, so they're only getting sort of actual legitimate software. So you are looking to buy software anyway. We all need it. You might as well save money while you are doing it. And should you have any issues, they offer 24/7, 365-day support no matter what. So this isn't like a fly-by-night thing. This is a reliable company. They've got over 100,000 five-star ratings, and you don't get that Microsoft certified gold partner status without being legitimate and completely above board. I've used SoftwareKeep for years. If you're looking to get really anything in the Microsoft suite or any other software, you owe it to yourself to at least check SoftwareKeep. And to make your life even a little bit easier, when you check out, just use code JR20 and I'll save another 20% that you could put towards, I don't know, maybe your new QD OLED set. If you want to learn more about SoftwareKeep, and you probably should, we'll put a link to them down below. So mini LED, at least to me, is really interesting. This is the evolution of QLED tech, and it seems like brands have gone out of their way to make this tech in particular just as confusing as humanly possible. Sometimes you'll see brands like TCL call their sets just mini LED. That makes sense. Brands like Samsung call their mini LEDs Neo QLED, and LG calls theirs QNED, but they are all mini LED tech. Just sort of know that all those extra acronyms is the exact same thing. They're all mini LEDs. They're all backlit panels like QLED, but the LEDs are just shrunk way down. They're mini. That way you'll have more local dimming zones to help you create sharper contrast and at least the illusion of deeper blacks. And to my idiot brain, things did look black to me when I was checking out mini LED. And we've got a bunch of videos of mini LED tech, which we'll link everywhere. Essentially, it's mini LED tech doing its best OLED impression. I'm trying to do that typically at a decent price. And there are a lot of advantages of mini LED. These sets are insanely bright and generally much brighter than QLED tech. These are the brightest sets typically on the market. Now, like I mentioned, more local dimming zones compared to traditional QLED, so you're getting less blooming around bright objects on a darker background. They tend to come in at larger sizes if you want a giant set, and more affordable prices than OLEDs. They also tend to be decently thin, not like razor thin, but thin enough. No risk for burn-in, and some of these sets you'll see come in 8K. Obviously, there's not a lot of 8K content out there, but if you're looking to sort of future-proof yourself, you do have options here with this. These sets also tend to have great color reproduction up to peak brightness, and they also benefit from color calibration, as you can make these sets really look near OLED if you're willing to spend the time to dial it in. These typically are great for gaming, sports, and cinema fans, so pretty much everybody. It's not perfect, there are some disadvantages. Same things that plague sort of QLED sets too. Viewing angles tend to not be the best as you're sitting right in that sweet spot. Still better than traditional QLED sets, but nowhere near what you get with OLED. And out of the box, these sets tend to not be the best when it comes to calibration. And if you don't go into that color calibration, you just look at it, you may not be impressed initially with the black levels on these sets. Also, some brands tend to have crazy reflective screens, so it's worth going to like a Best Buy or at least take a look for yourself. So if you have a lot of practical lights or windows in your house, you don't want to get a lot of reflection. So there are a lot of mini LED sets that I want to take a look at, but I have looked at a few here in the studio. One I was really impressed with was LG's QNED. This is a QNED 90 in 75 inches, and it was absolutely incredible. So out of everything we've talked about so far, I think it's easiest to recommend mini LED as kind of the one set fits all. It does an incredible OLED impression, yet still it's not OLED. It gets incredibly bright, generally come in at more affordable prices. You've got different sizes. Mini LED is sort of the broad answer for mostly everybody, but there are other options at the higher end. So let's talk about QD-OLED or Quantum Dot OLED, which is this guy behind me here. It's the newest and much brighter version of OLED. Now, very few brands right now are offering this technology. It's sort of the first year of release. Sony and Samsung are sort of the only two, at least as of this filming. The one that we've got behind me, it's the Sony A95K in 65 inches. And these take everything that's amazing about OLED and enhances it, including price. So some big advantages here. They get brighter than traditional OLEDs, which is awesome. That was one of the knocks on OLEDs. That takes a common complaint, chucks it out the window. If you didn't have a mini LED TV sitting right beside it, then you'd assume these were the brightest TVs on the market. They have crazy high color accuracy, and in Sony's case, it is the most color accurate TV on the market. If you're looking for the ultimate movie experience TV and you've got the budget, I mean, it's a great way to go. Colors are extremely rich and vibrant thanks to that quantum dot layer over the OLEDs. You'll also get perfect black levels, perfect contrast, near unlimited viewing angles, generally striking design, really thin, no risk of burn-in, which is really nice, especially for OLED tech, and amazing for gaming. So on the Sony, it works in tandem with the PlayStation 5 as well. It gives it some kind of unique features there. If you had to go with Samsung, you actually stream Xbox to Game Pass on those sets if you use the built-in UI, which is awesome. It's Tizen based. Also, these generally have the lowest need for color calibration. This is more of a set it and forget it kind of TV. But it's not perfect. They're expensive, really expensive. As of right now, I have not seen a QD OLED set that's bigger than 65 inches. I wanted a bigger set in my house, and that was the biggest reason that I decided to not go with a QD OLED set. Probably next year we'll see larger sets, but not as of this filming. They're not quite as bright as mini LED, but they are getting really close. And in a bright room with a lot of sunlight coming in, the picture will dim a little bit, but it is not bad at all. Much better than a non-LG G2 regular OLED. But again, big knock, price, they're expensive. If money is no option for you, and you only want a 65-inch or smaller set, it's QD OLED. That is a no-brainer, easy decision. It is sort of the king of TV tech, and it takes the best that existed and made it better. If price is a concern, mini LED is probably the perfect option for you. You can get really close to what QD OLED sets can offer. It is confusing. There's a lot of acronyms. There's color calibration. You don't know what TVs to get, what size to get. It just can be a generally confusing process. So again, I'm gonna just summarize it. Money no option, and you want anything 65 inches or smaller, QD OLED. Money is a concern, but you still want the best picture you can get, best bang for your buck, and you want to have the option for larger sizes. You don't have to have any concerns about light coming in from other sources. Mini LED is an incredible way to go. If you are more budget conscious, QLED sets, at least sometimes, is an incredible way to go. And even some regular LED sets is still an awesome way to go. And if you've got the option to control all of your lighting, or you've got a really dark space, OLED is still one of the best options out there. And you can get that in a larger than 65-inch set. But whatever you do, try to make sure you can find a set that at least has one HDMI 2.1 port. That will make a gigantic difference when it comes to gaming. And be happy you are buying a TV in a time where pretty much any set you can get will look incredible. You just gotta decide which version of incredible is right for you.